So the course outline would be basically to complete the whole course that is usually done for people who want to write the CCNA, and also do a little bit of those who want to write the CCNP. So it will be basically with the routing and switching. So the introduction will focus on the basic networking concept. That would be the local area network, wide area network, and then some of the network topologies. We would also look at the switches and routers. But most of these things are stuff that people may already know, so we'll go fast. The main topics we'll look at will be IP address and subnetting. We'd also look at the DNS, how to create a DNS server, and how to make it work. We'll look at the switching and routing. That will be the main side, where we'll look at RIP, we'll look at OSPF, we'll look at BGP. Then we'll look at basic router configurations. We'll be using Cisco for now, so most of our syntax will be Cisco syntax. Yes, we'll then look at network security, where we'll use Wireshark for most of our course. So maybe within next week, we may download Wireshark. Yes, then the last part of the course will be quality of service, how to provide quality of service for your network. And so most of the course will be project-based, and where we'll build networks, and then there will be assignments where we'll share the networks and then the projects. First of all, we'll look at switches, routers, wireless access points, and firewalls, and also the network topologies for this lecture. So we'll start with switches. So previously, like in the olden days, like in the 2000s, we didn't have switches, we had hubs. So hubs served as what switches were serving now, but then hubs were not intelligent at all. They were just taking data and transmitting to anyone connected, any device connected. So we'll check the devices online for maybe an example of a hub. But currently, it will be difficult to get a hub to see. So the hub was like a switch where any device connected gets any data that is coming with, and then the device would have to interpret whether it is for it. So we have hubs like this, which they look like the 5-port switches we have for TP-Links and co. So because we had a big problem, when the networks were expanding, the hubs were freezing up because it wasn't being intelligent and it was sending data to every port. So we had the bridges. So the bridges use the MAC addresses of the devices. Every device has a MAC address, which we know, which is the layer 2 address of the device to identify it globally. So bridges took the MAC address of the device, and then when data is sent, whenever data is sent, the MAC address is included in the datagram. So the switch will send the MAC address to the CAM. The CAM is the content accessible memory of a bridge or a switch. So every switch has a memory like a RAM, like a computer where there's a RAM. When it's on, it has a table where every device connected, the switch gets your MAC address and puts it on the table. So your MAC address is aligned to your ports. So with this CAM memory, or that's similar to a RAM that the switch has, when data comes to the MAC, the switch knows which ports it should send the data to. It doesn't send it to all the ports. But the issue with the bridge, that why we stopped using the bridge, is because it was software-based. And as you know, if something is software-based, it's a little slower than when the software is incorporated in the hardware. So that's how the switch came about. So the functions of the software were hard-coded into it. So all the functions are done by the hardware. So it's much faster. But that's how come we have the switch. So basically, switches is for a local area network where we have it. So you can look for example of a network switch. So basically, switches are this way. Usually they don't have one port and they don't have LAN ports. It's just one way. You can plug your input from wherever you want your service to anywhere. And you can plug your output to any of the ports. The switches are usually found in the main distribution frames in the building. When you have a building, you have a central point where all your cables go to. So that's where we find our switches. With the packet tracer, you would have your devices down here. You have your endpoint devices here, you have your PC, you have your laptop, you have your server. You should have several devices here. You have the components over here, you have your cables over here. These are your connectors. So looking at the connectors, we have several connection types. we have the console cable that is here. So when we are building a network, currently, most of the time we'll be using the automatic selection. So the packet tracer tool will automatically select the best cable to use between devices. But we'll go through the cables here and where we should use it in case we want to use it for a particular purpose. So we have the console device here. Console is usually for configuring devices on the network. We have the copper straight through. Previously, this was used to connect devices of different types, like a router and a switch. But currently, either one works, either copper straight through or crossover. Crossover was used to connect devices of similar type. That's maybe a switch and a switch, or a router and a router, or two laptops. Then we have our fiber. Yeah, so we have our fiber here. If you want to connect maybe two devices which have fiber ports, you could use this. So we have the ADSL cable, and it goes on coaxial. That is also regular copper, and it goes on. But most of the time, we'll use either the crossover or the fiber. Yeah. So we'll start with a small network, and then we have not spoken yet about most of the topics, which are the routing and switching, but we'll start something now so that you get an understanding. The next thing we'll do will be IP address and subnet, and then we'll move straight to routing. But today we'll do something little on static routes over here and how data is transmitted between one node and another on different networks. So in case you have your device, you can pick a router. You could pick a desktop. So we will pick one switch over here. As you can see, the switches are down here. So we can pick a switch over here. So we want to connect this. We want PC1 to be able to connect to PC2. However, they will be on different networks over here. So we could add another PC here. Okay, Alex said he lost connection to the meeting. Let me check something. Okay, he's back in, so that's fine. So if you have the packet tracer, you can be doing it as I'm doing it, which is straightforward. So
Me too.
If you have any question, you can just tell me. So you just pick, you can pick this cable that is from here. You connect from here to your switch. It's straightforward.
So, sorry, Coffee. So
yeah.
It doesn't matter what type of router you choose. You can just choose any
router. The first one is automatic, so it automatically gives you the correct cable. But usually for between two separate devices, you have to use the copper straight through. So let's.
No, I mean the routers.
Okay, it doesn't matter. You can use any router type. This is the basic router. I want you to use it because you're not doing any serious routing here. So you can use but you can choose any of the router types. That's fine. Because the syntax on all the routers are the same. So when you have green, it means it has negotiated and it's using the same negotiation at each point. We'll also talk about negotiation. So on each port of the device has to know how it is transmitting, whether it's full duplex or half duplex. And then full duplex is it's receiving and sending at the same time. Half duplex is it sends at one time, listens to the information at one time. So each part of the network connected has to have the same configuration, whether it listens at the same time or sends at the same time, or it does both at the same time. If not, there will be a mismatch and the ports will not come up. So if you have a link and you physically connect 2 ports and then they are not up, that's the first thing to check is your configuration on whether they are the ports are the duplex are the same, and also the speed on the ports. So we have our laptop here, we have our switch here. So we are connecting 2 different devices, so we'll use a straight through cable. So we connect here. They have different ports, so we can use, let's try and use the gigabit port here, gigabit port 1 to the fiber port, gigabit port 0. So it's red now, that means the port is down, but let's see. Then we are connecting 2 routers. So also on Cisco, most of the routers, the ports come as shut down. So that's why this side is down on all every port on the Cisco. So we'll log in here. We log in here. Then we go to CLI. If I'm going too fast, you can tell me, then I slow down because I want you to follow with me. So when you come here and they ask you, would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? You choose no. Else to take a very long time and to let you do a lot of configuration. So you enter here. Here is the CLI of this router. We are here, router 0. So it's here, router 0 CLI. You don't have to necessarily learn the syntax because most devices have different syntax. You can always check online. Yes. So I'll try enable. So for Cisco, we have different modes where you can either view or make changes. I wanted to share clipboard, but it's fine. We can use this. So we have the enable. We have the global configuration mode. Global configuration mode. Configuration mode. This has a. We have the privilege mode. Then we have the interface mode. So in the normal mode, you are not able to do any configuration. You can just view. In the privilege mode, you can do some configuration, but you are not allowed to most. And then in the global configuration mode, that's where you make most of your configuration. But whenever you want to make a configuration on an interface, that's on a port, you have to enter into the interface mode of the particular port. So these are the places you do. So we go back to this mode. So here we have the first step is normal. So we can always use a question mark. When you're on any device, use a question mark or tab. Question mark will show you all the commands you can run. So over here, as you can see, you can run these commands: connect, disconnect, enable. And enable is to move you to the privilege mode, as I said here. So that's the privilege mode. So as you can see, we can't set anything or we can't do anything. We can just do a telnet, SSH, show. Yeah, so most parts over here, we can just show. So we have to go to the enable mode. When then you press enter, you can check question mark again to check what you can do. As you can see, there are lots of commands you have here on what you can do also, but you are not able to do much over here. So we go to the global configuration mode. And that says config terminal. Configure, that's enter the configuration mode. So we go to configure terminal. And as you see over here, there are a lot of things we can do. I think the first thing we'll do is we'll set an IP address. would enter. Let's enter into this port. As I said, most of the ports are shut down. So what you can do, Cisco, if you want to say anything, can just do. Yeah, hello. So we go back and you can't show in the configuration mode. So as you see in the configuration mode, there's no show. So you can't show, but you can, in case you're in the configuration mode, let's say configure terminal, and you want to run a command which you don't have access to, you can add do. If you add do, it will allow you. So let's say do show. Over here, tab will not work, but you have to run whatever you want to run. So maybe do show IP interface brief. It shows you, but ideally, if I should type show IP interface brief, it will give me because there's no show over here, as you can see when I do a question mark, there's no show. So I have to exit here. I'm here, and then I can do show because there's show here. There's show here that if you want to show anything, you can show. You can always use Control-C here. So Caleb, I think this is like this one, all these things are programs that have been already programmed already. Maybe show, there's a program underneath it. Yes. So here we come to show IP. When you are writing, you can always use tab IP interface brief. So this shows you, this is one important command you would use whenever you're on a network. So this shows you what is configured on the network. So we have, as you can see, we have GE0, this is one port. And then we have GE01. So the first, when there's any maybe 0/1, the first is the slot and the second is the port. So let me write it. So if we have maybe X/X, the first is the slot and the second is the port. If you have X/X/X, the first is the frame, the second is the slot, and the third is the port. The last is always the port. So over here, we have port 0. Port 0 is what we've configured here. So we want to log into, as you can see, there's no IP address assigned, and it's currently administratively shut down. That means if it's administratively shut down, it means on it, it's a shutdown. So we can check to confirm that. So if you want to check your configuration, use show running config. So we come here, that is show running configuration. So this shows you what is on it. So when you come to show running configuration, you can come down to the ports. So this is the port, as you can see, it's shut down from the box. All the ports for a router, all the ports are shut down from the box. So you have to enable it. So for us to enable it, we go to the configure terminal mode to be in a privilege mode. And because we want to be in a specific ports, we have to enter into this interface. So we go to interface, and then we just put the name there, 0/0. And then we can check the commands we have here. We have all these commands. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The configure terminal, is it the one that would be, is it a global or privilege?
No, that is the global configuration. So the privilege is the enable. So let me write it all. Sorry. We have the normal where you can only do. We have the enable. Enable takes you to the privilege mode.
Okay.
And then we have the configure, or you can sometimes be configure, they can have different. Let me go back so that let me go back. So we have configure, we can do question mark. Configure terminal is only what we have here, but in other places you should have other things, not just the terminal. So let's just do, for now, let's do configure terminal.
So that's the global mode.
Yes, that's the global configuration mode. And then we have the interface mode that takes you to a particular interface. This takes you to a particular interface. So how it works is global configuration it works on the whole network, the whole device. Whatever you come to do is not based on its work, it will affect everything. Interface mode will affect just where you enter. So it won't affect the whole system. So that's it. So over here, with the IP, we don't want to put the IP on the whole device because there are 2 ports. We just want to put it on this port that is coming here. The port coming here. So that case, we would have to enter. First, we go to the configure terminal mode. Then we enter into that port. That's you just enter interface. You just use tab and then you enter here. here. So first of all, you want the port to come up. So you use no. Whenever you want to negate anything, it's no. So no, and it's a shutdown. So no shuts down. And as you can see, the port comes up. So it's here, it's up. So now it's negotiating. The ports are negotiating to have the same duplex and speed before it comes up. Here it's up, but here it's not done with the negotiating. So it should be done before it comes up. But we can go ahead. So we want to put an IP address. So we can do question mark to check what we can do. There's IP over here and it tells you interface protocol configuration. So we will use that. Now the ports, both sides are fine. So we go to IP address. We can use any IP. So let's just use 10 dots. Let's use 192.168.1.0.1.1/24. Okay, so this is not the syntax, so you can always check. So let me do IP address. This, okay. IP. Oh, this port only takes DHCP4 IP address. Yes, it doesn't allow you to manually set, so we have to use a different device. We have to use a different router, so we can close this. Let's use one of this is an old version, but it's fine, we can use this. Let me log in and just confirm. So we go back to CLI. It will take some time to boot, so let's hold on. Let's go to this device, our PC. You go to your PC, you can go to your configuration. Then IPv4, you can set your IP address over here. So you go to your interface IPv4. So let's set 192.168.1.2 and the subnet map. We'll do subnetting next week. So for now, this is fine. You can just put it here. Then you put your gateway 192.168.1.1. DNS server, we don't need one for now, so this is fine. Now we come here. We come to desktop, we come to IP configuration. Then IP address on 192.168.
So this computer is on a different network.
Yeah, so we'll do subnetting next, then we'll show why this is on a different network, but currently they're on different networks. But our next topic will be subnet, that's next week, then we'll show why these two are on a different network. Because they all look like 192.168. So we have different optexts. So we'll do subnetting next week, but I think some of you would already know that they're on different networks because the third optext is different, and I'm using /24. That means any change in the third optext changes the network. If you are using /, but we'll do subnetting next week, so that's fine. So this is for here. And then this is. So here we can go to terminal. We can go to command prompt over here. Then we can ping 192.168. 1.2. That's ourselves. We can ping ourselves. So you can try to ping the gateway because if not setting the gateway, you can't ping the gateway. But if you know our IP is fine, so we can try with this other device to the same thing. We close here. We go to the desktop. This is a Windows device. From what we can see, command prompt to ping 192.168.3.2. Let's check the IP we gave ourselves. 192.168.3.2. Okay, currently you are not able to ping. I don't know if someone can tell me why you are not able to ping. I know if someone can see why I'm able to ping. The IP is correct, but I'm not able to ping.
Is it because you've not connected any device to your machine?
Yes, so currently the port is down on that device. That's why I'm able to ping. We are running out of time.
Hey.
How many minutes more? We do. I just want to do this network, then we go ahead. How many minutes more?
So you have like 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes here. We'll just do one other, then we complete this.
Are you recording the lecture?
Yes, I'm recording it.
Okay.
So here we go back to enable. As we see, always go to enable so that then we go to show IP interface brief. That's one of the most important commands. We want to know the ports we have. We have 0 and 1. So let's log into, we go to configure mode, configure terminal mode. Then we go to the interface. We want to use interface, gigabit interface. Always when you see gigabit interface, it means it's a 1G port. When it's Ethernet port, it's a 100 Mbps port. So we can.
Okay.
So over here, we know it shuts down because it's a router, so it comes shut down. So we do know shut. The port comes up, change to up. So if we do show IP interface brief.
You sure?
Yeah, sure. Now, see, it's no longer administratively shut down. It is up, but the protocol is down because the port is not connected. That is this device over here. Okay, so let's log in and see whether we can put an IP over here. So interface.
No, can you label your circuit? I'm confused.
No, okay, so no, this is a new device. This one, we are not able to put an IP address, so I'm changing it.
I get it.
Yes, I'm changing this device.
Okay.
I want to use this device now, so let me just go. I'll label it later because of the time, but I'll go back. Okay, no problem. This device, you are able to put an IP address on the port. So we have to check for a device where we can put an IP on the port. Okay, however, here's something that's coming.
I'm sure maybe you need some license, or
I don't think I need a license, so it should work out of the box. But we have GNS3, so that is here. Maybe later I'll let us download it. That's more because for packet tracer, some of the commands don't work though. But for GNS3, it's an actual iOS, that's the Cisco's software, so that will be fine. But let's check this. So do show. Edu, please check the time. If it's almost time, let me know. Okay, so here, as you can see, we have 3. That means we have the frame showing the slots and the ports so that you don't get confused in case it's 3 and it's 2. You know it's frame slots ports. So interface, gigabit interface, that means it is a 1G port, 1G capable port. Yeah.
I have this the iOS, the operating system. Is it better to have it?
Sorry, you said?
The packet tracer. Packet tracer. I have the software. How do you call it?
You have it. Okay, so let's come in now. Even here, I think we can put it there. I just saw. So let's come IP address. Let me do question mark. So we can put the IP address there. I was the one who didn't put it there, so it's my bad. 192.168. this network, I think we used 1. So here will be .1.1. Then let me use tab to check what is the question mark. It says your subnet, so 255.255.255.0. Then question marks. Whenever you see CR, that means you can end over there. You don't need to continue. So this is fine. So we come back to this device. Then we ping the gateway. Now we can hit the gateway. As you can see, we can hit the gateway. But let's try and ping this device. That is 3.2. That's 3.2. Caleb, yeah, you can talk.
Yeah, is this more like a simulation? This packet tracer, is it like a simulation?
Yeah. So it's a simulator.
Okay, so this is, you don't actually use this to build networks, right?
No, you can just use it to confirm that what you are building will work.
Okay.
Yes, you can use this to confirm that what you are, but this is not the actual network. This is just for you to know whether it will work. In case you want to do changes, you can do your changes and see the impacts before you run it on your network.